Um, Thank you everyone for checking out another segment of Straight No Chaser, where I get to talk sports and culture, oftentimes for fans, with the fans. Now, there's a lot going on in our country, both on the national level and on the local level. We've got the third week of professional football here that's starting. We've got the start of the NBA finals that are starting tonight. The Lakers taking on the Miami Heat. We also have here on the local level, the Chicago Cubs and the Chicago White Sox that are in the middle of a pennant chase. So there's a lot going on, but nothing more important than what has been taking place on a national level. Most importantly, what transpired last night during last night's presidential debate. So there's been a lot of conversation around what transpired, some of the things that have been said. I know that there's some people out there with some strong opinions and thoughts. So before we get into it, before I dive into it, you know how we do it? You got it at home? Raise your glass. We're about to get into it. Straight No Chaser. Now, from what I've been able to gather, no matter what side of the political spectrum you fall on, whether you're a conservative, whether you consider yourself liberal, Republican, Democrat, the overwhelming feeling was that last night's presidential debate was left a lot to be desired. It didn't meet the expectations of a lot of people. There were people that, had some very pointed comments and some suggestive feedback in terms of what they perceived the debate to be last night. Some of the things that stood out to me from comments, some comments and evaluations from some key contributors along political lines. Dana Bash from CNN referred to it as a shit show. I think Dana Bash and I just became new best friends, because if that was the word I would use, it would be utter shit show. Jake Tapper, CNN, he called it, and I thought this was hilarious. Hot mess inside a dumpster fire, inside a train wreck. You know what? That's such a standism for me. All aboard the Hot Mess Express. It doesn't get any better than that. Also, looking at it on the conservative side, looking at Republicans, Ohio Governor DeWine praised Donald Trump for a great job. Thought he held his own. Was very factual in his presentation. Very commanding presence, commanding of the room. Sean Hannity commented that Trump steamrolled Joe Biden. He was very pleased with what Donald Trump, our current president, was able to present. I think the overwhelming feeling, and I could be wrong, and this is where I want to hear from some of you, I think the overwhelming feeling that I've gotten from people and that I've been able to garner from social media and just people in general that have commented it was a train wreck. It was not anything positive. It was not anything healthy. I think people are feeling, or may have felt, that presidential debate may have been one of the worst, if not the worst, debates in history. And that's saying a lot, because we've had some awful, I would consider awful individuals participating in these debates. Maybe not some of the most eloquent speaking, maybe not some of the most engaging. So that's, you're talking about a long list of people to be at the top of awful. But nonetheless, many people are saying that this debate was awful. So with that, I want to talk to some of the people that are watching here, some people that may be commenting. I guess one of the first questions I want to ask is, what were your expectations, or did you have expectations of the candidates going into last?
Understand that.
Oh, don't worry, you'll get it later. Did you have expectations, or what were your expectations of last night's candidates going into the debate? If you had expectations, or you had thoughts going into the debate, please comment below so I can read some of those, so we can have a discussion about that. That's one of the first questions I want to start off with. From a personal standpoint, my expectations were not met. I did not have an opportunity to gain any information about an individual's platform, a candidate's policies, information. I think in the public eye, I think from a national perspective, and also an international perspective, I think the expectation was not met as far as being a leader of the free world. The United States being the exemplary country that we have prided ourselves and promoted ourselves to be. I don't think that was the case last night. I think our worst and innermost disrespectful and the de-evolution of our democracy was not democracy, but our presidential demeanor by both candidates was on full display last night. I think that looking at what transpired, I saw the best equivalent. It was if you had a grade school or elementary school teacher, in particular kindergarten, first, second, third grade, if you had experience teaching in the classroom, it was like trying to separate two young children that were getting into it and having a debate over or having an argument over something that they didn't get along with. You know, whether it's somebody took someone's pencil or someone hit this person or someone said something about this person. That was the equivalent that I saw most common. Tracy Zimmerman says there weren't any expectations, but she liked to have seen a debate. Absolutely. I don't think there was a debate. Great point, Tracy. There wasn't a debate. There was a bunch of name calling, finger pointing, a lot of false information. Now, there were independent fact checkers, and regardless of what side you're on politically, statements were checked. And I believe at last count, and that was this morning when I looked, there were 3 false or misleading statements provided by Joe Biden. Our current president had exponentially more. There was at least several dozen mistaken statements or misinformation that was put out there. I agree, Tracy, the decorum that was on display last night, it was horrible. And many young people are watching this because many young people want to learn our political process. Some are maybe interested in politics for themselves in the future. Some of them may have had to watch the debate. I know in the past I had to do it as a young student, but I had to watch it as part of a school assignment. And I think it was a major letdown. You know, I was only able to consume it, you know, minutes at a time. And I would have to go and watch, I don't know, like flip to something else just to decompress for a few minutes and come back. It was that bad. But the decorum, the ability to stay on task, the moderator, Chris Wallace, I mean, it was just everything that could go wrong and be poor in a debate, it did happen. So with that, you know, I think my expectation was I wanted to hear policies. I wanted to hear about platforms as it related to race, as it related to potentially looking at law enforcement reform, policing policies. What is your fiscal plan moving forward? What does your budget look like? Where are your priorities in terms of social issues? And those things didn't come across last night. You know, I know there were some things interjected here and there, but once the misinformation started, it was kind of like everything just started to go left real quickly. So that was some of the expectations I had that were not met. And it was just, I mean, I wanted to pull my hair out. But that's just me. Let me look at some of the comments. Great point, Tracy. Fact checkers should have a buzzer linked to a shot collar around the candidates. That would be hilarious. You know, the minute someone spreads some falsehood, it's like, yeah, so I created, yeah. I like to see that hair kind of flap up, you know, when that electricity flows through. Or if, you know, or it could be Vice President Biden, you know, if he provides a falsehood or misinformation, you know, seeing him stutter and mumble a little bit more because he's getting hit with that shot collar, you know, to me, that would be hilarious. Because at this point, you know, if it's going to be a shit show, then let's at least be entertained. That last night, it wasn't even entertaining. I'm all for a bad movie. I'm all for a bad presentation. But gosh, I mean, are we even trying? I mean, bro, did you even try? And okay, I have to say one of my guilty pleasures, and this was an expectation, one of my guilty pleasures is hearing Joe Biden say, come on, man. Oh, man. I love when he says, man. It's a guilty pleasure. I know. Hey, I'm giving it to you straight, no chaser. My guilty pleasure is when Joe Biden says, man. I love it. But with that, all that you said on a serious note, you know, it was a train wreck. Let's see, Tacova Young Salter. It was a bunch of words with nothing behind being said. I agree. It was the equivalent. We have a term, talking loud and saying nothing. When you say things, it's word vomit. It's just stuff coming out, it's spewing, and you know, I played for a basketball coach, and he used to always say, Coach Krieger used to always say, don't mistake effort for achievement. You know, and I equate that to just because you're saying something, or just because words are coming out of your mouth, doesn't mean that you're saying something even meaningful. I agree. It was not a good look by either candidate, but.